all good. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Another big moment of this week, Virtual Happy Hour 3.0 with another country presentation. Tonight it is Venezuela, and it's a big honor for me to welcome Maria from Miami for her presentation. The stage is yours, Maria.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Maria Torres. Nice to meet you, everyone. I also had an idea that I think it would be cool if you guys have any question on Venezuela before I start with my actual presentation, put it in the chat so I can read them through quickly, and I can try to integrate your questions to my presentation all at once.
Yeah, so, I of course have the situation. Servet from Turkish Airlines. He was we had lunch together, and he was speaking about the Netflix series Jack Ryan, and I watched it, and Venezuela was playing a very vital role. I don't know, have you watched Jack Ryan, Maria?
No, I haven't watched it. I used to watch a lot of like action-filled TV shows, but it gets to a point where it's too much stress, and sometimes you just want to lay down and have a laugh. So
because the summary was the first show, and he is making a training for all the other CIA agents, and he's asking in the audience, which is the biggest threat for the US? And then people said, North Korea, Cuba, Russia, and then he said, it's Venezuela. And then he's explaining why and so on. And then the entire second show is in Venezuela. So maybe you can watch this later and then give me feedback how realistic it is.
So I'm sharing my screen. Can everyone see it?
Not yet.
Does it say so?
No, we don't see anything yet.
It's, the thing is, I'm presenting using Google Chrome Teams, so.
No, Google Chrome is good. Just make entire screen sharing, not just the Chrome.
Okay.
The entire screen.
Can you see now?
No.
Oh no. Well, while I'm having my technical difficulties, I'm gonna talk a little bit by myself. So I'm Maria Torres. Hi. I recently graduated from the University of Miami here. I had one of those online Zoom graduations. It was very weird and very different. And before that, I had been working at Lufthansa for, I think, 2 years. And I worked at Lufthansa Technik in the corporate sales department. And I used to work in different projects in there. One of them was customer centricity. And part of the reason that I was in that project was because of empathy and having a cultural diversity that, because of coming from Venezuela, going to a German school, and now living in the United States, I had a little bit of a 360 point of view. So I would like to present you now my home country. Let me know, please, if it's working. Hopefully, cross fingers. Can you even see me?
No.
Oh, this is amazing. Okay, I think.
Send it to, now we can see you. Send it, the presentation, otherwise to Daniel quick through.
I have it. I'm just downloading it. I can show it. Just a second.
Yeah.
I have it. Yeah.
I thank God. I don't know why I had an inkling that today was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. I don't know why.
Well, you jinxed it then. If you think about it so much, it's the law of attraction.
It's law of mercy also.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
By the way, we have also Mauro, who is also from Venezuela. So we have a double pack of Venezuela people here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to see Generation Z struggling with technology.
Of course, Marco had to say that.
So let me share here the presentation. Venezuela, here it is.
Yes.
Wait.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Daniel. Okay, so as everyone knows already, we're here to talk about Venezuela, and I thought it would be very funny to put first the Wikipedia page. You know, facts, numbers, things that you should know, hopefully, like our country flag, where we're located. We had like a prime spot in South America because we're the north of South America, and we're part of the Caribbean, which is amazing, and we have a lot of islands that are beautiful. And as you can imagine, we're part of the Latino culture and the Hispanic American culture. So the capital of Venezuela is Caracas. We have a population, I checked it out, of around 29 million people. And unfortunately, 4 million of those are abroad. And if you can make the calc, it's a really big percentage of the whole population. And that could be in the Americas, in Europe, and mainly in Colombia, in Brazil, and the countries near Venezuela that they had to go on foot. So something that I think it's very interesting that not a lot of people realize is that mainly our population is mestizo, which means like indigenous descent and mixed from the colonizers that came in and from European descent. For example, I'm Spanish, and a lot of the people I knew, especially in Caracas, the big city, were from Spanish, from British, Italian, Portuguese descent, and also some German. That's why there was a German school in Venezuela. And actually, I came here to the United States, and I found it completely weird and funny that people did not have 2 passports. Then that's how I see. So when I'm going to talk about food, I'm going to talk about food that's very Venezuelan, more like traditional food, but it doesn't mean that it's only that we eat. We also had a lot of Italian, really great Italian restaurants, great Portuguese food, Spanish food, not so much British and German food, but other than that, we like when you went out to eat at a restaurant, it wasn't necessarily Venezuelan food. It was like this really, really good Italian bistro.
And what do the 8 stars mean in the flag? Why 8?
It used to be 7.
7.
Yes. That's also a little.
Oh, there used to be 7, I thought.
No, it's 8. I see 8.
Yes. So 2 things changed with the Chavez regime. He put 8 stars because it used to be the oh god, I knew this. Like the kind of like the 50 stars of the United States, but it wasn't. How do you call this? Like the regions. And then he said that there was this like extra region in the history, and that was supposed to be in the stars. And he put the 8th region. No one wanted it. No one asked for it. He put it there. And also in our coat of arms, you can see there's a little white horse, and that's Simón Bolívar's horse. And it used to look backwards because that's just how the painting was originally. And Chavez decided to change the horse direction, and that he should be looking forwards, because we're a country that should be looking forwards always. So he also autonomously changed the coat of arms and changed some other things, but the biggest thing is also the horse, the white horse. Language is very clearly Spanish, but we also have a lot of indigenous languages in the regions. Like in the West, we have like a big indigenous population called I don't want to say it wrong and embarrass myself. And then we have in the South, in the Amazon, as you can imagine, there's also another indigenous population that they live mainly there, and people who go to Salto Ángel, which I'm going to talk later about, they get to meet them because they're the ones that work there. The main religion is Catholicism. We are very traditional. I think that's very Latino. We're very traditional, very religious, most of us. And a lot of the places we go, they have like their own virgin or their own saint vigil. And it's just something like you would go to visit. Like if you go to Margarita, you would go Coromoto, and from the Coromoto Virgin and so on. And I think a little fun fact is that Venezuela came from Little Venice. When Cristobal Colon came to America, he saw this picture here, as you could see it there, of the houses on top of the waters, which is called palafitos. And he was very much reminded of Venice. And he said it was like a little Venice. And that's where Venezuela came from. And I think it's very sweet. So we can go to the next page. I don't see it yet.
Destinations. You're not seeing it?
No, I'm just going to, yeah. If everyone else can see it, I can just continue. Oh, God, this is...
Can you see it, destinations?
Okay,
Yeah,
now
we can see it.
yes.
We
So
can see
I put this picture because we have everything that's amazing, and we have everything, which is yeah, I love it. In Caracas, we're in a valley, and I would say that it's the perfect weather because it's always like around 24, 25 degrees Celsius, and it's perfect. Like at night, you can put like a light jacket, and the afternoon it's sunny and it's beautiful. And we do have the weather in the equatorial region of drought and rain. But other than that, that's a little bit boring. We have the most beautiful beaches in the world, in my opinion. You can see here, this is in Los Roques. It's literally a beach that has waves from both sides, crystal clear waters. In the beaches, there's different types of islands. You can surf, you can kite surf, you can windsurf. You can do pretty much anything, fish, because we're also like a fishing country. And it could be one of the most amazing vacations you ever have. Then we also have, as you can see here, deserts. Not many places have deserts, but we do. That's really cool. That's in Coro, which is also in the north side of the country. I haven't been there yet, but it's one of my goals to go there because it's just, I don't know, I think it's really cool that in the middle of the country that it's tropical, you have a desert. We also have a lot of nature, tropical weather. You can see that it's Canaima. Canaima is kind of like the area in which Santo Ángel is. So we have a lot of like these mountains that are square called tepuyas, and that have also waterfalls from El Río Orinoco, and they make these beautiful like lakes and waterfalls that fall. And also we are part of the Andes mountain range. As you can see here, this is Pico Bolívar, which is the highest point in Venezuela. So as you can see here, we have deserts, we have beaches, we have waterfalls and mountains and tropical, and also we have really cold weather and hiking places like in Mérida. So you can imagine that also our food varies from destination to destination. In Mérida, the food is more warm. That's where also we get our coffee because the land on the mountains, it's perfect with the humidity and the altitude and the plants around it that make one of the best coffees, and chocolate. So no, chocolate is not there actually. And so I could put many more pictures, but I just wanted to show a little bit of the contrasting in destinations that we have. If the situation were a little bit different, I would 100% recommend you go there. You could do whatever you want, and Venezuela probably has it. We could go to the next one.
Nice.
The most awaited one, food. Actually, I'm drinking a Maltín Polar, which I don't know if you can see it. It's a soda that it's made from like brewed malt. It's not alcoholic, it's okay. And kids grew up drinking this. Like after football practice, if you're at like a pool party and it's super hot, you would drink this, and it's, I don't know, very nostalgic. I haven't had one in years, and it's, I don't know, it tastes so weird. That's very nostalgic. And it's from Empresas Polar, which is kind of like craft. Here in the United States, it's Empresas Polar there, and it's one of the biggest companies in Venezuela that is still standing. So here I'm going to show you the food. It was very hard to make this presentation because honestly, choosing between pictures and having just eaten, and I don't know, I just went to eat everything again. So the most known thing from Venezuela is the arepa. Colombians may think arepas are Colombian, but they're wrong. Venezuela is the owner of arepas.
Do we have Colombians on the call today?
No.
They're not here to defend themselves, so I win. Venezuela is the one who invented arepas. Arepas are Venezuelan, and that's a fact. Arepas, what I like is they're very, I don't know, you can eat them as breakfast, you can eat them as dinner, you can put whatever you want in them. Venezuelans, as you can see, you're gonna see here, we like the mix of sweet and salty. So you put a little like sweet plantains with cheese that is salty. Very popular is the reina pepiada, which is like you grab like shredded chicken with avocados, a little bit of mayonnaise. Amazing. It's so good. It sounds a little bit weird, but once you try it, you never want to go back. And then we also like from El Pabellón, which is to the right of the arepa. It's black beans, as you can see here, braised beef. that's been stewing with like tomato and peppers and onions for a long time. And then you mix that out a little bit with rice and also the fried plantain to have like that little sweet tone. Some people, I think it's in the West, I'm not sure, but there's a region that puts sugar on the black beans, and there's a fight, kind of pineapple on pizza. There's a fight in Venezuela of should you put sugar on black beans. I am.
Excuse me, I want to add something to it. Yes, my better half, she's from Merida, and she puts sugar on the black beans. And I think I'm Brazilian, okay, with the black beans.
Doing it. It's amazing. I'm guilty of doing it. When I was little, I didn't want to eat something that was black and it looked awful. And my mom said that putting sugar in it would make it better. And that's the only way she got me to eat them. And it's amazing. So what's cool about the pabellon is that you can put all that except for the rice also inside of an arepa, and it's amazing. And you put like the black beans and the cheese, and it's a different type of arepa. I love Gouda cheese and the shredded beef. It's amazing. And then those two arepas and pabellon are mostly things you eat at home. Like that's something that's been stewing for all day, and then you get back from work and you have like this such a good plate that's been again stewing all day. And the arepa, it's something quick, like breakfast, and you put whatever you have in the fridge in it, and you eat it on the run. You could also get them. You could also get them as a hangover snack, or like that middle of the night after the party snack. That's when the areperas are open. It's only truck drivers that are like in the middle of the night working, or people who just left the party going to get like a thick arepa with like dripping with butter and stuff, because that's kind of like our McDonald's middle of the night, or like I think it's kebabs there when what you eat after the party. So for us, it's the arepa. And then something that you eat like more on a street cart. I wanted to put something else, but it didn't fit. It would be the pepitos, which is kind of like a sandwich with beef or a hot dog as well. But my favorite are empanadas. I love empanadas. It's almost the same dough that you use for the arepas, but it's sometimes you put it a little bit sweet, and you put different fillings in them. You could also put cheese, the same shredded beef. But what's my favorite, it's cazón. And cazón, it's this like baby shark, or like tiny sharks. They're harmless, and they cook them and they shred them up, and it tastes amazing. And then that's a fried thing, and you would see literally in Margarita, especially after we were like at a day at the beach, like a little stand with the lady that knew how to do like everything, almost like put her hand in the hot oil and take it out because she's been doing it for her whole life. And like it's face big empanadas that you would just eat on your way home after like a day in the sun. And it's, I don't know, I think they're the best. They're amazing. Not a lot of people eat them all the time because they're fried, and it's just annoying to fry up food and not that good for you. But I don't know anyone who doesn't like a good empanada. And then on the bottom right, we have an hallaca, which is a Venezuelan plate. And it's a little bit complicated for me to explain, because I don't know how the process is even. I just know that in Christmas time, the family gets together, and the grandma usually did every filling and this weird dough that it's made with like a seed that makes it a special color, and then everyone in the family has a job. One has to like flatten out the dough. Someone else puts like the olives, and it's only 2 olives because XYZ in tradition. And then you put like 2 peppers, and then you put like the beef with the pork in it. And then someone, of course, a pro, knows how to make a little like tamal with this, as you can see in the back, this like plantain leaf. So I don't know, it's a special thing, not just only to eat them, but of course eat them because for me an hallaca means Christmas, and Christmas in Venezuela is very nice, very pretty. The Christmas spirit there, it gets slightly colder. By that I mean it gets like 18 degrees Celsius, so it does feel like Christmas. And it's just also like the family tradition and the feeling at home, making this with your family from like 3 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Then ago I had to help making those. I think 100 or something.
Yeah, because you get into it. If you only
don't do one, you do 100.
Yeah, if you just get to do something and you have to put like the olives, they give you a little sheet with everything. You just put the olives and you pass it through, and then without even knowing, you make a whole bunch and you put it in the freezer, and the whole December and January you're eating hallacas. I really like them. Tequeños is a crowd favorite. Colombians also want to step in and say they're called deditos de queso. They're again wrong. They're called tequeños and they're Venezuelan. Very simple. It's dough with cheese in the middle, and you can fry them up or you can put them in the oven. So simple, but so good. Every single friend that I've introduced them to, it's one of their favorite snacks, and also a really good drunk food. Then going into my breakfast with guaracha cachapa, it's kind of like a sweet corn pancake, and you put like cheese in it, like soft cheese. I like salty cheese, again, with the salty and sweet combination, and it's amazing. It's super easy to do, even though, I don't know, it's a corn pancake. It's extremely easy. I made it in 30 minutes. And then one of my favorites that I used to hate, but now I learned to love it, it's called a golfeado, which is kind of like a Venezuelan version of a cinnamon roll. We have papelón, which is kind of like the cane residue from the sugar, and it's similar but not the same as brown sugar. It has a name, but I forgot about it. But it's kind of like the residue that when they create white sugar and they refine it. It has its own special flavor. It's sugar, so it's like it melts in like caramel, and it has this like brown, golden, red, brown color. So they put that instead of brown sugar, and they put anise in it, and they just roll it up, and it's amazing, and it crystallizes. And what you see on top of it is cheese, because for some reason golfeados go amazing with cheese. I was gonna get one today, but in the end it's Thursday, so I decided to wait for the weekend to get a golfeado. And there's only one place here that makes them well.
And all these dishes have maximum 200 kilocalories, or is it below 100 even?
So we love our carbohydrates. I will say that. We love our dairy. We love our dough. I will say that. But arepas are gluten-free, and you can make them as healthy or as unhealthy as you want them to. And pabellón is also very healthy if you take out the rice. But other than that, yeah, like I'm not going to show you the boring stuff. I'm going to show you the really good stuff that makes you like mouth water and want to order it. I'm not going to show you, I don't know, like we have like ensalada de palmito, which I think it's boring. I hate palmito.
Absolutely. But Nikki, are you in to make maybe for one of the upcoming cooking classes a dish like this together with us?
When I volunteered at the at that nonprofit, I did a lot of cooking to sell for fundraisers. And since the owner and the founder, they're all Venezuelans, they did a lot of these treats like the cachapa, and then my challenge was to try to make them vegan. So I made the empanadas, the top right. I made the vegan version the other day with vegan ground beef, and then the arepa on the left we can totally make vegan. That's not a problem at all. It's just a matter of the cheese.
But wouldn't it be a nice exercise to do the vegan version and the original recipe, and then to taste each other and then to compare?
Yeah, but I can do it at home, but I don't know if you're gonna be able to taste my food.
Well, after the experience with the last vegan dish you did, I would eat it. So I would be willing to cook with you again.
Christian, we're gonna do a vegan Venezuelan arepa class then.
Then we do that.
No, but we do both. We do, I would say, you maybe do the vegan only. Let's say Christian is doing the original one.
No, I want to do the vegan one because that was fun the last time. I cooked it now twice again.
But wait, we do both. We do both. And then let's say all the participants, they have both the vegan one and the original one. And then we eat that together, like you make the Pepsi and the Coca-Cola test. And then you say, which one is the better one?
The only difference is depending what filling we made, what Maria just said, that you can fill them with everything. If you make the one that you see there right now, for example, Maria, how do you call the xadrez, like the cheese and the black beans? That can like the shack, it's black white.
Yeah,
That
no.
can
It's
be
all about no.
Yeah, they can be vegan if we add the vegan cheese, but there are so many fillings. Like we used to eat them also with tuna salad, mayo
Yeah.
and tuna salad. And there's a vegan version of a tuna salad, so we can make that, the real tuna and the vegan tuna.
Like that.
Yeah,
Richard, you're on. Maria, you have to participate in the next cooking.
I believe it might be convincing for all the hesitating people who say, "Oh, vegan food and blah blah blah."
Oh,
and
no,
then
no.
if you see that it's tasting like the other one,
but it looks like
more healthy, it has less calories and stuff and so on, maybe more and more people are convinced to go vegan or vegetarian and so on.
Yeah, for example, one of my favorites is with cheese and sweet plantains. You get the right vegan cheese and it's automatically vegan, even if it tastes amazing.
You know what the funny thing is, Nikki? The sour cream with cashews. I did this for a friend who hates cashews, and she didn't even realize she was eating cashews. Yeah.
Exactly, and I had it. We had it last night at cooking class, and the person that I taught a few weeks ago the sour cream cashew as well. She loves the fact that it's sour cream. She doesn't buy the sour cream anymore because she just loves the flavor. And my mother, she hates cashews. Yeah, but when I cook for her and I used cashews like hidden, she ate it as if it wasn't cashews, like as if it's food. So I'm happy that it's like it.
Daniel?
I'm here.
Yeah, so we will do that. So the next thing will be Venezuelan food.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, you're back on.
And you put it as Venezuelan arepas. Huge. Venezuelan arepas, not Colombian.
And now we are talking about So,
I wanted to say, like, Venezuela in the media, things that people don't usually know about us, or they know but they really forget about that because we are in the news for other things. One of the things that I remember when I found out I was in school, like when it was published, was this, that we were happiest country for X amount of years in a row. I think it was like 3 or 4. We were literally the happiest country in the world. And as you can see here in the picture, we're like, Venezuelans are so happy, and we always try to make the best out of the worst. And I don't know, just having like a good, I don't know, the good way of seeing it, looking at life, and
but
just
that's
enjoying.
Also why you qualify for happy hour, because you're a happy person.
Yes. So every Venezuelan qualifies. So it's something that we used to be known for. It wasn't only beautiful women or whatever. It was because we were one of the happiest places in the world. Now Bhutan took that from us, but it's okay. It's fine. We forget that for that. Also, Roraima. I don't know if you guys know already. We have one of the 7 wonders in the world with Santo Angel. If you can see the picture of Roraima, it's absolutely beautiful. We have this mountain formation that, as I tell you, that it looks like a table, that they're like flat mountains called tepuyes, and that's where the Santo Angel is, which is the highest waterfall in the world. And it feels like the water is just like evaporating before it falls down. And it falls down into this beautiful lake-like formation. I know there's a scientific name for this, but I forgot about it. And it's like these red rocks in Canaima and this like very still waters. And it's just, I don't know, it's amazing. You don't feel like you're part of this world. And yeah, I'm very proud of it because people may talk about beaches, and I don't know, beaches are beautiful, but this is nature at its finest, I would say. Something that, again, made us very proud and very excited to watch the movie. And it's such a great movie as it is. And just knowing that we were a huge part of it makes it more special. If you guys have heard of Pixar's Up, from the old guy with the house and the balloons. Do you remember that movie? Disney?
The one with the talking dogs that goes, squall, squall.
Yes.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
they go on an adventure in this like floating house with the balloons. So it's completely inspired by Venezuela. Like that picture right there on the top right, it's Venezuela. It's the I think it was the director that saw that, and he was completely amazed by it. And they had a lot of like helicopter drones and people like just watching the whole area to really see how it was and give it justice in the movie. So I don't know, I think it's very special that Disney Pixar dedicated a full movie on Venezuela nature, and one of the things that sets us apart. And one of the cool things about like that point in Roraima is that we have a connection with 3 countries. Like we have a point when you're literally in Venezuela and Guyana and Brazil at the same time. So I don't know, I think it's really cool because it's not just like in Europe that it's literally a line down the street. It's a huge mountain, and you can see like the whole like views from the 3 countries. So also we're going a little bit back. Well, before we go back, I think hopefully they know that we used to be one of the countries that almost always won the Miss Universe or got very high up there. So much so that this is I put there on the bottom right a picture of something that was very special. I remember seeing that live. It was a Miss Venezuela that had won Miss Universe, crowned another Miss Venezuela for winning Miss Universe. So that was Diana Mendoza and Estefania Rodriguez, if I'm not mistaken. And it was just very cool, Venezuelan pride again.
So is it the food which is making the beauty, or what is the secret behind?
The happiness.
Part of it is being the happiest country alive, because pretty faces can be pretty, but it's having that essence and that stage presence and that charisma that sets us apart. And
but
also
again,
there's
the food is making the people happy, and because they're happy, they are beautiful.
Exactly. And then there's this guy who's a legend called Osmel Sosa, and he was the one to breed the Miss Venezuela. So he would completely make build you into a Miss Venezuela, and that was his whole life and everything. So he's kind of like a legend because he got us to all the Miss Universes.
The blend of all these, where you guys all come from, it's just like this perfect mixture between Latin American, Europeans, and that makes the women beautiful.
Yeah, you can imagine that we had a lot of European migration also after the Second World War. That time was when we were doing our best. And actually, I'm going to talk about that in the 1960s with this 007 movie. We were doing our best, and of course, people in Europe, they just wanted to get out of that war, and they saw Venezuela as a paradise, which it was at the time. You had all these destinations, so much raw potential, and we were doing really well economically. So much so that in 007, the villain asks if he should make the payment in the hardest currencies, Swiss marks or Venezuelan bolívares. And that's pretty epic.
It was also Domino, the Bond girl out of that Bond is also from Venezuela.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's pretty cool that he literally says that I should pay you in one of the hardest currencies, one of them being Venezuelan bolívares. So you can see that we were pretty high up there. Not right now, but we will be there.
If you didn't have the political problem that you had in the past few years, or decades, Venezuela would probably, or one says, would be one of the richest countries yet now.
Oh yeah.
That's where this comes from. That it was a very strong currency because they were very rich, but the political situations destroyed everything.
Yes. No, yeah. My uncle used to say that you could throw $10 in the street and you would go pick it up and it would be $100 because the economy was doing so well and it was growing so much and it had so much potential to keep on growing. And it still does. It has potential now because there's nothing, you could literally do whatever. So one example that we say here is that you become famous or rich for having a Starbucks train down there because Starbucks doesn't exist there. So just because there's no competition on Starbucks, you just create your own, but it's the matter of, getting it started and working and everything. And one of the things that is still relevant today because we still use them, oh no, I was missing one, was the architecture. Not only were we one of the countries that were doing the best economically and happily and mentally. But in Latin America, we were the most advanced country in terms of architecture. We have this, as you can see here, this huge bridge in Maracaibo, and it's beautiful and it's miles long. And I don't know if you see it, it would look like something that was made in this century, but it wasn't. It was made last century, like I don't know, 50 years ago.
But now I am understanding better why in certain Netflix series Venezuela is the biggest threat for USA. Now I understand better.
So we had that. We have like this huge tunnels that go through, because again, I said Venezuela is in a valley. So we don't have the airport there. We have the airport after the valley where the sea is. So to get from the valley, these huge mountains, which is in my title page called La Vila, we have Boquerón tunnels, which is like, it's called Boquerón 1, 2, y 3. And it's like these tunnels that go through the mountain. And you would think that today it's like, oh, okay, cool, a tunnel. But back in the day when they were created and built, everyone in Latin America were shocked. We had the most technological advances in architecture. And I remember my dad told me, or it was a teacher that told me, that I wanted to come to Venezuela just to see like those architectural wonders. And like that, there's many buildings that are still standing up today, not very much cared for, but still there, because we have architectural geniuses in our country. Anything that's worth mentioning because it's beautiful, as you can see it. So I'm done on that part. So talking about our exports, I think everyone can do that part of the presentation for me. We're one of, if not the richest country with the richest soil. We have the biggest reserves in the world in oil, even though that's a little political, because with the depth the amount of depth that we're in, that oil does not necessarily belong to us. So tricky there, but still we have oil to kind of power the whole world if we want to. Something else, I grew up since I was 2 drinking coffee. Venezuelan coffee is something that is in every table, in every household. It's delicious. And again, as I said, the soil that we have makes it very special and very rich. So we have Venezuelan coffee, which is one of our exports. We're also one of the biggest exporters our biggest exports in steel, aluminum, metals, gold. We actually are a little bit salty with the Spanish people, our colonizers, because we used to be also a really big exporter of pearls, but they took out all of our pearl reserves when we were still a colony. And also chocolate. I don't know if you've heard, but Venezuelan chocolate is one of the best in the world. They have this special quality that absolutely no other chocolate in the world has, is that for some reason the way it melts, it's so different than any other chocolate, and it makes it so silky and really good for like truffles and high-end chocolates when they want to melt it like with a coffee or like in your fingers. It's weird that the chemistry of our chocolate, it's just completely different than any other chocolate in the world. That sets us apart and makes it delicious. And that made me crave some chocolate now. And unfortunately, I had to put it in there as well. One of our biggest export is drugs. That's on the upper right corner, upper left corner. But it's a reality of us, of what the country has become with the politics that we have in place. And I remember personally in my story that I was in a plane going from Caracas to Madrid, and we were delayed because they were literally checking every single bag and everything on the plane because they thought there was cocaine in the plane, because Caracas, Madrid was a very popular destination or route to transport drugs. And with that, I can go to my next slide, which is the effects of socialism in the world, in the country. I don't want to say of the current politics because that's a messed up thing there, because we have different regimes, you could say, and different kind of little how do you say, the stages of how everything happened. But in the end, it was all kind of fueled by this idea of socialism. So I think this is maybe why people were very interested in this presentation, and it makes me sad to think about it and just talk about it, because I had a pretty great upbringing, but it was things that my parents made it so well, made it so good, because I know that they were hiding a lot of the harsh realities of the country from me until I was, old enough to understand them. And I was just lucky to be in the place I was with my family, that I was able to have this great of a childhood and not have to see everything since a very early age. But even still then, I grew up with a lot of politics talking around the house and political activism at 12. And I was part of these rallies here on the right. I remember being there, not on the most violent ones, but I was affected by them. I remember there was a time when with the guarimbas. So it was when the first of the really big protests that became violent were popping up, and you would have people just so mad and so done with it. This was at 2013, 14. And they were just burning stuff. So they would put down and, they would share that, that the tires in the car burn longest and smell bad. And if you have a bed, you can burn the bed and burn whatever. And they were called guarimbas. And they wanted to, with these things that were burning in the streets, they wanted to close down the capital, Venezuela. Because if you close down the capital, it's like the country's going to start, not working or functioning as it should. So that's what they try to do with the guarimbas. And I remember that month or 2 months where literally every morning you would see only 2 people in the classroom, and it would be like, oh yeah, Carlos couldn't make it because there was a guarimba in front of his house, so he couldn't leave. Or yeah, I almost made it to school, but there was a guarimba of a tire burning right in front of the entrance and I couldn't get in, so I couldn't go home. And my parents, they had to leave early from their office because there were the fumes of these gas bombs, like reaching the offices, so they felt uncomfortable, so they had to leave. And it wasn't dramatic, as you could say, it was our reality. So it was, I don't know, it was just like, oh, that's so annoying, I couldn't go to class because there's like a fire burning in front of my house. And it's weird to talk about that now, because it's such a, I don't know, that was like 7 years ago, and living here in the United States, it's really unfathomable. And that was actually one of the reasons that I didn't want, or I didn't tell Nikki that I was going to present Venezuela until right now, because everything that was happening with the Black Lives Movement in the United States it hit very close to home for what I lived through growing up in Venezuela. And I don't know, it just felt weird, like bringing up everything again when the real situation here in Miami and in Washington and everywhere, it was also very similar to what I went through. So other than that I could just, everyone I think knows what went wrong with the government, with the president dying, then this new president dictator coming in, and all the drama that has been happening for the years. Before, it was only like a secret or something that we would hope people would notice, and now we're in news pretty much every month or so about something that's happening in Venezuela that's completely outrageous. And it's sad to say that you can see here people eating trash from the streets, and the hospitals are completely useless, and everyone's being tired and malnutrition. We used to have this thing called La Dieta Maduro, which would mean that people who were, there's always, and this is going to sound so bad, but there's always this, like heavy set guy that he would be the security guard, or he would be the guy that checks you out at the supermarket. And all your life, you know him as, like the gordito, like the heavy set guy. And then you would see him a month later, and he was just a twig, super skinny. And you would say, oh, you've lost a lot of weight, because that's a nice thing to say usually. And he would just respond like, this is La Dieta Maduro, which means he did not have enough money, or he didn't find any food to eat. And that's how he lost all the weight. And it was such a sad reality, because you were losing weight, which usually is something good, but it was because you had to. And from this food situation, it has so many things. The shortage of food in the supermarkets, and we used to have this thing called the bachaqueros, that they would they would buy from the distributors to the supermarket, and you had to buy from them like 3 times the price. And you wouldn't buy like 1 pack of sugar. If you wanted to buy from them, you had to buy literally the whole, I don't know, big thing of sugar, and you had to pay them cash. So when family gatherings came up, you would literally say, "Hi, I called the bachaquero and I bought like 50 kilos of sugar. Do you have any flour? Do you have any harina pan? Yeah, I have harina pan. Come here." And you would literally trade groceries with your family and friends because they had the contact with the people with the flour, and you had the contact with the people with the eggs. And that slowly shifted into what it is right now. And it's that the economy has dollarized itself a lot, if not almost completely. So either you pay the literal translation of what bolívares are at that moment $2, which could change very rapidly, or you would just pay in dollars via cash, via Venmo, via Zelle. And what's happened is that it makes this great opportunity for the richer to become richer and the poor to become poor. And the difference or the wedge between the social classes has been it's been broadened even more than that it was. It's also worth remembering that the reason that Chavez won was by broadening this wedge between the two classes, and he leveraged into the lower class, saying that he would empower them and be the talker of the people. And now what's happening, it's as big as it's ever been. And then you see people getting richer because they have the opportunity to come here to the United States and buy cheap food from Costco, really big amounts of food, and then transport it back to Venezuela and sell it in dollars 3-4 times the price. And the people who cannot afford to travel or order it directly from Costco or Amazon or whatever, they're obligated to pay that price because there's absolutely nothing else for them to do. Because the government help is pretty non-existent. It is there. I wouldn't say it's non-existent, but it's peas and pennies for what it should be. And I don't know, it's sad. I was talking with Nikki yesterday that I'm starting my own little charity to donate to different charities and foundations. And it's because of everything that's happening in the world. What happened, I think it was 2 days ago in Beirut, Lebanon. And just having this situation on my shoulders that I know that I can go to my kitchen and have food, or even with the whole pandemic, I never missed any food. I always could go to the supermarket and there was something in there, even though it wasn't what I wanted, or I could just order it from Amazon. And I know I'm incredibly lucky to have that, because a lot of people, and I used to be one of them, that I used to go to the supermarket and it was completely empty. And you have to respect, you couldn't do recipes and mess up the recipe, because if you messed up the recipe, you messed up all the amount of eggs you had. So it's pretty complicated, and it's not the best thing to talk about. That's why I didn't want to share or talk about Venezuela before. But in the end, I think it's worth putting it out there and teaching people. And of course, on the left, you can see also the effects or the recent effects of socialism, which is people leaving. As I said in the beginning, we have 4 million displaced Venezuelans all around the world. I joke around that we are pests, because when you find one, you find a bunch of them. And we have our little communities, and you just see them trying to create their own businesses or try to be part of the new communities in their new countries. And sometimes you see engineers and lawyers and whatever be Uber drivers or nannies or housekeepers. So it's a harsh reality for everyone who has had to leave in this place. And the last and certainly least in this case is that I just wanted to show the Tupamaros in the upper left, but they're not even worth mentioning, which is people who are criminals that are armed by the government to terrorize the people. And kind of, if there were rallies or protests, they would come in and literally terrorize, because they're not police. They're not held to a higher standard. And one of defenses that the Maduro regime has done is arm and give food and give everything to these criminals and use them kind of as a force. And they're happy because they get to do whatever they want. They have food, they have arms, they're completely uneducated, and they stay loyal to the government because of that, and that's how they keep the masses control as well. So yeah, okay, now we can go to the last one, which is again a happier note. The next slide. And I just wanted to show a little bit of my upbringing, that, as I said before, it wasn't all bad. You can see me, I don't know, okay, I haven't.
Is that you dancing?
Yes.
Oh, this
was my upbringing. I just wanted to show and have a happier ending, but it was pretty nice. I really liked growing up there in Venezuela. I think it shaped me to be the person I am today in so many ways. And I don't know, I think it gave me a really good life view of how to be grateful, to have this family first thing, and this openness of different cultures that I grew up with. And yeah, I just wanted to share, for example, this was like the beach club that I used to go in the weekends, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I miss it literally every day. I see pictures of it. I follow it on Instagram just because I miss it. And it has very pretty memories from my upbringing there. On the lower right corner, you can see me dressed in the typical costume called for joropo. Joropo it's a traditional dance, and you have like these big flowy skirts that are like bright colors or like with flowers like mine, and this fluffy white shirt, and it's traditional dancing with the traditional music, gaitas, and also something that's pretty nice in the Christmas time is called the gaitas, or it's kind of like competitions of putting the typical Christmas traditional music from Venezuela and having kind of like a medley music of 10 minutes where students in high schools compete with each other. So we have everyone in the students play all the instruments and sing and dance and have like these dresses that are modern and showy, but at the same time traditional. And it's pretty nice because it's kind of like the Christmas music, but from Venezuela, that you would listen to while you were doing your hallacas at home. And you would also mix it a little bit with more, reggaeton, merengue music that's more of the moment. And you would literally compete every weekend in the different schools. And that was me doing it there. It's kind of like being a cheerleader. It's the closest thing I was ever to a cheerleader. It was pretty fun. And I saw a picture while I was looking at them of me literally in full makeup, because this is stage makeup. You have to be seen at night, going to a restaurant later on with like my hair all gelled in and like normal clothes. And yeah, you could see there also a picture of me with my family and like the typical Sunday lunches, very family oriented. So that's part of my family, Spanish and Italian. And I just wanted to share it because, again, even though the reality is pretty harsh, and it is, it's a pretty nice country, and the people there are just unimaginably nice. And yeah, I miss it. And that's my Venezuela. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me anything you want.
Thank you.
Martín Polar.
Maria, I have to say, first of all, Nikki, thank you, because without Nikki, we wouldn't have this Venezuela presentation. Second is, I love your power and energy. It's really, I would say the silence of the audience is probably the translation of, ooh, so much energy and power. And I also you are really a star of the VHH, because we got to know you with the VHH 7.0, young talents, old gits. Then you quickly said, yeah, I do a 3.0. I think you perfectly qualify also for this all women's panel. And now we do a cooking class with Venezuela food.
That means everything, I'm telling you.
So now, you don't have to convince me that from Venezuela are the most happy people. I thought I'm the most happy people on earth, but no, I'm just German. I'm not coming from Venezuela. So maybe I'm just second most happy person on earth, because you are certainly the most happy person on earth.
Daniel,
yeah, so I have a funny anecdote from this hat. That's why I wore it, was that I was walking here in Miami with this hat on, and it's like close to my house, very residential. And I was just walking middle of the day, just like right now, full sun, 2 p.m. and minding my own business. And I see again, I used to live in Venezuela, so it was very insecure, and you have like eyes in the back of your head. And I see this car that usually should be going like at 30 kilometers per hour, 40 kilometers per hour. It's slowing down, and I'm alone in the street, middle of the day. And I was like, okay, this is weird, but maybe, I don't know, they have to go enter to their house. They start slowing down, and they go into like the house entrance of where you would put your car in, and they stop right next to me. They lower their window, and I'm just like, this is it. I didn't get anything done in Venezuela. I have to get it done in Miami. Like, what's my luck? I got out of there, and this is what's happening. The guy just rolls down the window and goes, Venezuela! Ah! Woo!
But Maria, you have to tell me.
He rolls up the window and leaves, and that was it. And I'm just there, like sweating, like.
You thought that was the last day of your life.
You have to explain me. I also was working for a Lufthansa company. How could Lufthansa Technik cope with your energy?
Well, why do you think we hired her as an intern? From 100, we went to a career fair at the University of Miami, and from 100 people, one went to the front and said, I know how to speak German. And my boss said, talked to her 5 minutes and said, we're going to hire her. I'm not sure what for, but we're going to hire her.
But now I totally understand why Venezuela is the biggest threat for the United States. Now I totally understand.
For the United States.
Yeah, watch out, everyone.
Well, Trump anyways thought it was part of the U.S., wasn't it?
What?
Have one conversation without his name coming into it. Seriously, this was so lovely until right
Christine,
now.
right.
Krista, we're after November then.
No,
Please.
in November we'll have plenty of conversations and they'll be so much more pleasant. Maria, can I say something?
Go ahead.
What is in front of your camera?
You are too old for that. You are too old for that.
What? No, I'm not. Look, I'm.
You're too old for that. No. You are married. You're too old for that.
Yeah, that's
Daniel,
what,
let him
I'm
speak.
a good family man. I'm married. No, what I wanted to say was, we've had so many great presentations, and I'm not going to do this Olympic Games nonsense that this was the best ever. So this wasn't the best ever, but it was certainly the most moving. And what, you know why? Because the way how you spoke about the recent experience living in a country that is so in turmoil, and it just reminded me of Serbia. And although Zoran didn't touch on this subject, him and I had many conversations about what they've been through. And I find it so fucking important for people to hear this and not just read it up on CNN, Fox News, or God knows where, but to understand these are real life stories. These are real human beings behind it, and it's people's destinies. So I was really moved. And
thank you.
And yeah, thanks for that first-hand insight.
Yeah. So I just want you to know that it's not all bad. That was kind of like my goal of the presentation, to show it wasn't all bad. That's what the news show, but also show that it was my day-to-day life growing up was very different from someone here in the United States.
And I'm not saying that you are a negative person. I think that's pretty clear that you are not a negative person. But I find it important that we've for the past months we've been talking on these sessions about countries, about generations. And a lot of it is getting each other excited and motivated and inspired and blah. But it's so important also to understand and learn about the hardship that exists on this planet, because we're all, quote and unquote, fortunate. Some of us have been furloughed, but some of us have had very little impact yet. But and yet everybody is like complaining, oh, this is such a pandemic and such a crisis. It just puts things into perspective. There's things happening on a totally different magnitude on this planet that we're sort of ignoring. deliberately.
Yes.
That's my social for the day.
Yeah, you learn to.
Humanitarian.
I heard from cancer patients that cancer patients could always be, oh, but I have it worse, and my reality is harsher than your reality. And thinking that way of, me looking at the news when I was growing up with the, the guarimbas, my reality was pretty sucky. And I would see people complaining in the United States because XYZ was happening, the Kylie Jenner challenge or whatever. And I could think, oh, but my reality is worse or my thing is worse. But at the end, it's perspective, and everyone's reality is completely relative and different. And I think as Venezuelan, you also know that you can't resent the world because your country is doing so bad. And at the same time, when you get out of that situation, you're also maybe pretty blessed, and you don't even know it because it could always get worse. So I never feel guilty of having such a good situation when other people are not.
No, it's not about feeling guilty, but it's about acknowledging that there is a lot more hardship elsewhere, and that it could always get worse. Now, this is not about aspiring to have things getting worse, but it's about acknowledging and being happy with what you have. I'm not saying that people that were in Beirut 36 hours ago should consider themselves happy, because that is probably pretty devastating what happened.
Yeah, but this is exactly what you mean. You cannot compare. Everybody has their own reality, but I agree with you, Marco. Pandemic is bad, and if it affects you health-wise, it's a really bad thing. But we need to still make a difference between, okay, I'm having a tough day, to my life is at risk. And this is what you mean. Venezuelans, they had in certain moments their life at risk. Will they survive or not? Beirut was an awful tragic event happened. Unfortunately, a lot of people lost homes, everything. So it's a different magnitude.
Yeah.
I just want to say, as Daniel always says, it's about positive, energetic people. Maria, I think we can identify that in you. There's anything that I'm going to say, but I'd like to thank you for also bringing in a little bit of realism into this virtual happy hour, because most of us, and I've done my presentation about my country, and I glossed over all the bad things. It's nice to actually have somebody that, this is how great we are, but let's be realistic. This is the challenge we are. Even though you are positive, energetic, everything that VHH stands for. I'd like to thank you for that.
MG, by the way, looking at you, you are looking like Russell Crowe.
Yes, he does.
Absolutely. One of my favorite actors. No, absolutely.
So we have Russell Crowe, and
are you Russell Crowe, and you have tried to become member of the VHH?
Well, ironically,
you can admit this.
I was in hospital last year for, I think, about four weeks, and the nurses and the patients started calling me Russell.
You see.
So we have Jean.
But anyway, I just want to say thank you, Maria. That was very, very enlightening.
Yeah.
That's all from my side.
I also would like to say, I think what COVID is teaching us at the moment is humility. And this is, I think, a long time we had a lack of humility. And seeing this beautiful presentation, that's also what it taught to us, actually. To be, we call it Demut in Germany, to know that there are things happening like that around the globe. Yeah.
But how do we make that attitude sustainable and lasting? Because, I mean, when this is over, then it's back to the old frenzy. And also, me having Italian roots and background and family there, Italy has been complaining for decades about lack of help with all the immigrants that use the Mediterranean to cross into Europe. And everyone else in Europe was like sort of waving their hands, sorry, not our problem. And then all of a sudden, when the masses came and it was too much, people said, oh, Italy, you need to fix your borders. Well, hang on, this is a European problem. And everybody is sort of arguing are these people even entitled? Because the only reason why they're doing that is because they're escaping economic hardship. Well, where's the line? When is it legitimate to migrate? And why is it? I mean, I've been blessed, like many of you, being born in the EU or being born in Canada and the US. Does it make us better, smarter? No. It's just a pure coincidence. And then we turn a blind eye to what's happening as long as it's far away.
That's exactly why I brought up, I spoke on the how the indigenous peoples in Canada have been treated like absolute trash since the white man came to Canada in the 1500s, because I debated about, do I put it in, do I not put it in? Of course you put it in, because it's part of your history. And I've been trying to teach my daughter since about grade 7, when she was doing Mesopotamia and Hammurabi and all these things, you know, the first peoples, the first civilizations. I said, you don't know how you got to where you are without understanding where you've come from. You may not like it, you may find it boring, but there was no shortage of examples in pop culture of cuneiform, the first types of writing, things like that came up in shows she was watching. And I said, see, we may be in 2020 or 2019 or 2016 at the time, but we're still going to refer back to where we came from and how we got here. And totally jumping topics, because I'm having a really weird day. My daughter's been away for a few days, so it's been me and the dog, and I think I'm going a bit nuts. But Maria, I love listening to you. I love your energy. I love your voice. I love your outlook, and the fact that you're not hiding the warts of Venezuela and the ugliness. It is what it is. You know, yeah. You are who you are. You are who you are because of where you came from, or maybe despite where you came from. So yeah, Marco, you know what, Marco, we don't forget about it by keeping each other reminded. You know, in a year, we're not doing the VHH anymore. I hope we're still in touch. I hope we're still, you know, shooting each other messages. Are you having a positive day? No, I'm having a shitty day, actually. Okay, well, what can I do to make it better? Or do you just want to commiserate and you just want to, you know, vent and kvetch? Okay, well, tomorrow's literally another day, you know?
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
I have a question. Manolo, are you awake up?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am.
I just learned that you are one of the happiest person in the world.
Yes, I am.
What are you saying to all that?
To what?
Oh, he didn't listen.
Come out.
I will tell you what I think, and you're going to say that I'm a little bit crazy, but I left Venezuela in 2000 when all this polarization was happening, and when the people vote for Chavez as a punishment. And from there, you know, everything went down the road as we know it. So I think that the only thing I'm concerned now a little bit is that we're seeing this in the US happening as well, right? So we're seeing a lot of polarization and division and anger against the government and all that, and people is doing irrational things that you never know what might happen, might come in the future, right? So yeah, that's the only thing I have to say. Yeah, it's very sad that happened. I mean, I haven't lived all the things that she has lived because I for some crazy vision, I decided to leave when that guy won. I said, you guys don't know what you're doing, so I'm leaving. You don't have idea. So I left. But my family has literally all immigrated, right? They're all around the world, and I have to send money to some of my family over there because, they cannot survive. So yeah, it's a very, tough situation.
Fatima, we still have an issue, isn't it?
She'll get to it when she's comfortable and ready, just like I did.
Yeah, come on, Fatima. You can tell me a date. It can be in October. It can be in October 2021. Just give me a date.
What country?
Portugal.
It's going to be 9 September or 13
Portugal
September,
is the
not
only
October.
winner of this COVID-19 because they are holding for one more year their title of European football champion.
When?
So, when? Yeah. For one more year, you are having your title.
Yes,
Usually
I know,
you would
and
lose
I'm
it
very
this summer.
happy.
No,
I know.
We are not happy about that. We are not happy about
Yes,
that.
I don't care. I don't care about football. I just care when my country is playing against other, and I want my country to win, of course. That's it.
Yeah, but we don't get a chance to play
yes,
against
well,
you. That's the problem.
well, about what I don't understand.
You have to disclose the date
I gave
when
you
we
a
are
date
all
already.
hearing about Portugal.
Can it be September or
Monday.
does it have to be in August?
Whenever you like, we can do it in September.
Okay, I want in September because I'm going away from Portugal for some time. No,
Good.
that's not.
So now we have you on the
That's
record.
true.
It's September.
That's
And
not
now you cannot stay away anymore. September.
I was,
Bam,
and
bam.
I was, yeah, no, I'm going to send you this date. I gave you 8 or 13 as you wish, the best.
8 or 13? Let me check.
Challenge them, Fatima. Let's just do it in Portuguese, and they have to study Portuguese beforehand.
Of course, we can do it in Portuguese, in German, in Spanish, Italian, whatever.
Let's do it 8 September. 8 September?
Yeah. Is
Very
it okay?
good. Fatima, now we are progressing. Very
Get
good.
virtual happy hour 10.0.
Finally.
Finally, I give you a date.
Why don't we do next Monday?
Well, I'm listening to everyone, and it's so
Next
interesting. So I just get involved in all the presentations.
Very good.
Fatima,
it's very interesting, and it's interesting also to hear about Venezuela because I was in Venezuela in 2000, and it was when Hugo Chavez won the elections. My husband was working there before as well, so in security and the safety and things like this, and it was very strange already, even before Hugo Chavez. And it was, in the Ranchitos areas because of the safety and security areas. And then I went there for vacation, and in Margarita Island as well, and it was a very interesting experience, very nice. So it was nice to hear everything and remember and about, and it's really sad because we see what's happening and we see how it was, and and we have been receiving many Portuguese people that were living there, so they are fleeing from Venezuela, and we have lots of people from Venezuela here in Portugal that are asking for our help as well.
Yeah.
We also need to find a date for the cooking, by the way. So when are we going to do this, Nikki?
Let's look through. Let me look through the calendars and then then do it. I'll let you know because I need to check.
Maria, what are you doing on the 3rd of September?
Jesus Christ.
No, we are not talking a religion on that day.
I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. Wow.
Yeah, I was trying to stay
planning in that
sense. Because I like to have your power in the 3rd Aviation Women Panel. Exactly, and then.
Okay, no, you have to do that little cheat. You have to go like this, and you like this. Oh.
Have you put a hamster under your skin?
No, you little bit.
It's not a hamster, no?
I don't think it's called hamster in English. Even though it's Nikki, what's a hamster in English? It's not hamster.
Yes, a hamster is a hamster.
Really?
The hamster?
Yeah.
Like animal.
Of course, you cannot ask Nikki, who is cooking vegan, about a hamster. That's, of course, the thing.
Well, you don't want to eat that thing, do you?
No.
Oh.
Well.
Yeah, I'm free on the 23rd.
I have 7 rescued guinea pigs here, okay?
7 now. I thought
That's
it was 1.
No, guinea pigs.
Oh, guinea pigs.
Christian, 1 pot-belly pig and 7 guinea pigs.
So is there Sabbath, do you have any question to Maria, or anybody else. You were so quiet today. Usually you would talk, and so. And today, as you are so silent.
Yeah.
Savage. I don't know what happened.
Yak Shamla.
Listening, there are so many similarities between Venezuela and my country, Turkey. We used to have tough days in the past, and nowadays we are progressing more. Whenever I speak to my friends here, we same thoughts as Maria expressed a couple of minutes ago. But I believe that we have to unite together and we have to fight against all odds. So coming together and fighting, that's the only thing that we have to do. We have seen so many economical crises, we have seen so many coups, and we have, for example, today we lost our money, lost about 3.5% of its value, but we have to cope with it. We have to live with it. And what's important for me is to get news from different sides, different perspectives from different countries. Even we see news from Venezuela, I see that what Maria explained so far is a bit different than what we have seen from the news. These are very touching and very realistic news, and it's very, very important to hear them from someone who really feels it from her heart. And we have to unite and we have to get rid of the problems day by day. And I believe that in the future days, we will cope with the coronavirus, we will cope with all the crises and all the poverty. And we have to believe ourselves and friendship. And I believe that mutual respect is the key source to come over the problems. That's why I can express, because today's presentation was so touchy that I didn't want to make an interruption, and that's why I didn't want to talk.
Thank you. And I agree. We have to come together and face the worst.
I don't know. I'm moved. There were so many moving and soulful and emotional speeches today. And you're wiping away a tear, Kristen. I saw that.
I'm sorry.
You were wiping
away your tears.
Well, I don't know. You know what? I think I did get a little emotional, but my eyes tend to do that in the afternoon. I'm old.
So it's 2:35. I know you guys have to join, but I'm trying to. We were supposed to have one of our other generations that employees or former employees that actually did the internship with Maria at the same time at our office, and she's from Kenya. So hopefully we will be able to present Kenya soon.
Cool.
Nikki, I can't. Samantha also needs to tell us again. So you are stuffing entire South America and Africa and bam. So I'm so
surprised. That's what we do. I need to cover them all. I'm thinking of a country that I could present, but all my countries were already presented.
Hey Daniel, why don't Marco, you and I do a presentation on Germany?
We can do that, yeah. Fantastic. Especially with Marco and his migration.
I about Frankfurt and you about Berlin.
Yeah.
So I do Rio again.
Yeah, we can do that.
City presentations, monopolies.
I will do that on Monday. Just to show Fatima that you don't need long presentation or preparation, because if you have too much time, you wait anyways until you get started.
Yeah. Okay, if you want to have the presentation tomorrow, I can do that. No problem.
Okay,
I don't want to
go to tomorrow's.
There are so many things to talk about my country that I don't know where to start from.
We can also ask Carlos.
That's the problem. I need to choose, or I have to do part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. I can do that as well. I'm kidding.
Thank you very much for everybody. Amazing Virtual Happy Hour 3.0. I would say, Maria, you are the upcoming star of the VHH. I am totally amazed, blown away, your energy, power, passion. incredibile, as the Italian would say. And I look forward to the upcoming sessions we are having all together. And if you know a smart, positive, upbeat, and enthusiastic person, please spread the word.
Commercial break.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Maria.
Bye. Take care.